Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Halim wa salim bikum. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi katu lil ikwani kwati fi din. Salamu ala mani tabahuda lil ikwani kwati fi Afrika, Europa, America, Asia, Caribbean, wa kuli makan. Anjurama to my Fulbe community, and today I'm going to talk about something that's an ongoing problem with the press that's been released about Burkina Faso, and all the accolades have been leveled off to Captain Traore. He's a Muslim. He's an African brother. We must respect him because our Prophet ﷺ said, a Muslim, aku Muslim. A Muslim is a brother to another Muslim. That does not mean that we agree to what he's doing or what he doesn't do. Let me check who we got here. Okay. Okay. How you doing, my dear sister? Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Thank you very much, my dear sister, for showing up today. Thank you very much. We have a problem in the Sahel, and we've had this problem for a long time. You've been watching my programs the last couple of weeks. You've been watching and viewing my short videos. They're about 30 seconds long about the history of the Futafula sultanates, which they were very, very powerful and very rich. And you've been watching that. When the colonial period came in, they finally defeated. You saw the sorry epitaph on what happened. Our last Hapular sultanate was finally disbanded and defeated. Then the Futafula community went down drain, scattered, separated, and we have been victims of many different reprisals of many ethnic groups throughout the Sahel. And from this beginning of the early 1900s to now, we have not been able to solve the Fulani problem. Since the Fulani community is far different than anyone else, we are pastoralists. We take care of our cattle and other animals, and plus of our long history when we came out of Egypt, which is Kempt, and we have mannerisms and we have customs that are quite different than many of the ethnic groups. And because of our power and reign of power in the Sahel region, in the decades that we know now, we have had reprisals because now there's groups, even though their forefathers are dead, but those forefathers told stories of the Fulani conquest, Fulani jihad, Fulani emirates, Fulani sultanates, and so forth and so on. And they're now in reprisals against us. And our Sahelian governments have not been able to solve this problem. We got our brother here. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Thank you, my dear brother, for showing up today. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And so with that said, I give a different picture about Burkina Faso because I have my dear brother in California. He sends me a lot of stuff, which is good because a lot of things I can't find, he finds it there in California. Got better search engines and so forth, so on. He's been giving me good information, and it's him who sent me the picture of the last Ramadan at Eid, Salat Eid. He was there and so forth and so on, and he's given me some other information as well. So we know him to be a Muslim until otherwise. I have been critical of him because of speeches he has made where he has not glorified Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, which is is a prerequisite to a degree for the devout Muslim and a Muslim who's grounded in the Sunnah of our Nabi alayhi salam, and that he addressed when he addressed the people, and he did it in such a way. And then when he addressed even disbelievers, he had a way of doing it. Our leaders don't do such a thing. They don't even mention even Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's name. They don't even mention the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam as well. And I have a problem with that, among other things. We've had the recent killing of the 200 Burkina Nabi soldiers in Burkina Faso. You know about this case. It's all over the place. There's a lot of speculation and so forth. And then now the Burkina Nabi forces have been wreaking havoc in the north, going after quote unquote terrorist groups. Yet the groups that actually were responsible for this are back in Mali. This is what I'm saying, brother. See, what gets me upset. Our dear brother, his security forces are rounding up bandits, miscreants, a whole bunch of different people like this. He's rounding them up, and many of them have weapons because they have been funded. Sometimes they work with Mujahideen groups. Sometimes they don't work with the Mujahideen groups. We know this. And so they've been rounding them up. But the ones who did the killing are back in Mali. The Messina, you know about them. I've told you about, our famous sultanate from the 1400s to 1862 when it was finally defeated. So we know about this particular. Well, we know the Mujahideen group in Mali, in the Messina region, adopted the name Messina, and they have branched off. They've had disagreements, and some branched off and went with the AQ, some went with the IS, others they formed their own Jamaat Islamiyah, which is Islamic group, to fight the government and to fight for the rights of the Futufula community and the herders. And you got to remember something: the Messina group today and some of the majority of our militias are herdsmen. So they're a rough bunch of brothers. They're not some punks on a corner. These are these are rough brothers who live out into the Sahara and the Savannah region, and they weather the elements, and they fight off animals and so forth and so on. So these guys are no joke, okay? So now they got together and they formed a group, and they have one imam, which I talked about him before, who has been behind them and giving them guidance and so forth and so on. So we have that. And we got our my dear cousin here. How you doing, my dear cousin? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Thank you, Anjarama, my dear brother and cousin. Thank you very much for showing up. And then our sister gave him her salam as well. And so we'll get started on this. I have a problem with the news and also with Burkina Nabi TV and with some of the African TV programs who are talking about this case. They're showing rounding up of bandits that we have in Nigeria and so forth and so on in southern eastern parts of Niger. So they are, they are getting a lot of press, and they are saying these are the ones responsible for the killing of the Burkina Nabi forces. We know this is not the case. They're bandits. They're rogue elements. They're muharaba. We call this in the Arabic language, in the Sharia law, we call them muharaba. That's what we call these people. And so they have been now cast, just like what's happening in the Muslim states today. When they want to show that they're doing something, they'll get an easy target. They got some punks over here, 5, 6 of them, who make pledges to some Islamic group, and they go arrest them, and they make a big spiel that this is a big, strong terrorist organization. But when you go and you see the telecast, they had a bunch of knives, 5 or 6 knives. One may have a weapon. They're living in a dingy apartment. See, so now we have this type of telecast where we have African stations showing them with weapons and motorbikes and so forth and so on. But these are not the ones who killed the soldiers. The ones who killed the soldiers are the Asawad group and the Messina, who are Fulani and Aswad. They got together, the Asawad Tuareg, and they got together and he went into Burkina Faso, and they murdered the soldiers. Now, let's look at this again. Why did they murder them? You heard reports in March. They slaughtered a whole Fulani village. We have not been able to confirm it. My dear brother, who's in the Fulani news, he made, because everybody was jumping after him, he made some good points. He said, look, I can't say something until I get the proof. We have not been able to get eyewitness accounts. We have American accounts, we have British accounts, we have French accounts, we have all kind of UN observers who allegedly went to this region and said this massacre occurred. Now, again, brothers and sisters, I'm giving you up to speed on something about the Fulani reciprocity. You have to understand, when the Fulani are massacred and murdered this way, we have a long history of reciprocity. We go join our brothers in jihad against whoever murdered them. And this is we've had this same situation develop in 22 and 23 and 24, when the Burkina forces went and slaughtered the militias and some of these rogue ethnic groups like the Mosi. There's I'm trying to remember all of them now. I can't remember all the name of all of the ethnic groups. They all have militias. The government gives them free reign to go after the Fulani people. So now we have this problem. When they go in there to kill the brothers, our brothers in the Fulbe community, then our brothers retaliate. In this circumstances, since our brothers were murdered, again, allegedly, why did the Messina come from? They have been threatening. In 2020, they said that when Fulani communities are massacred, they will come in and revenge for them. Now, this is what Kofa, this is his name, who is head of the Messina now, okay? He said this, and he said he has fighters from all over North Africa, East Africa, and West Africa. Some said even Central Africa, they have come to join their Fulani brothers in a jihad. Suddenly, they got together because the Asawad group, which is the Tuareg, and the Fulani groups, many times they have quarrels, but they have a common enemy now. And I've talked about this many times. They got a common enemy. Who is it? The AQ and IS. The Messina has been fighting in Niger. Guess who? Against the Kanuri. Who's the Kanuri? Boko Haram. See? So this is what I'm giving you, this education here, so you can filter through the BS that you see today on these African stations and on the Western stations as well. So now, when the Burkina Faso plus their militias went into the village, they said they were there to go after the IS and the AQ. As you heard me talk about this many times before. Every Fulani person is either affiliated to the AQ or the IS, which we know is not right. But this is what the media and our African enemies, our ethnic groups who hate us, they do that. Even our scholars, even our doctors, even our most learned men, our wealthiest men, all are labeled as what? Part of AQIS. It's incredible. So again, this massacre allegedly occurred in March. The Messina have made a broadcast saying that they were responsible for killing those soldiers. What Burkina Faso forces have done to get press and get money, okay, especially from Russia, and I'll get into that a little bit more, they went on a campaign to go after bandits and kidnappers, which they're no good. Yes, you get them. Yes, they're rogue elements and so forth and so on, terrorizing, robbing, and kidnapping. Yes, muharaba. That's what we call them under the Sharia law, muharaba. You can look it up. If you look at the history, what our Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, what he did to them, he had he was very angry with the muharaba for what they've done. So we've got a example of that. So they went and got there and said, these are the ones responsible. When you look at the pictures of these guys, they're young punks. Many of them even left the religion. Many of them have nothing to do with Islam anymore. They'll kill anybody for money and for ransom. So they're now touting these punks as those who killed the soldiers. It's not true, brothers and sisters. How can a bunch of punks, okay, they don't have no military skill, they don't have all the weaponry or the apparatus to go kill 200 soldiers. They don't have it. Yes, they may be able to go into town and kill a couple of policemen or a couple of soldiers, but they don't have the wherewithal, okay, to go to kill a well-equipped army. The Messina does. The Asawad groups, they have it. They got together, left Mali in revenge. This is why there must be some credence to the massacre of our Fulani brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers in the villages there in Burkina Faso. They went there to revenge. They found the soldiers and executed them. Now, remember 2022, we had a similar situation. They went and killed 50 herders and their families. And remember, I read it off. They took Fulani survivors and burned them like they were, a steak. You make barbecue out of meat. You go get and slaughter cattle and you make barbecue. That's what they did to our families. The Messina group and some militias went and found the soldiers responsible and killed them and executed them. This is why I'm saying, brothers and sisters, this has been going on in Burkina Faso now since 2022. They go in there and massacre a bunch of our brothers and sisters and their families, even 7-year-old children. They kill them too. Now, Messina gets whiff of it. They go to locate the soldiers, like they did this case, and they executed them, 200 of them. Let's get this right. Now, hear me out. I'm not justifying what they have done. I'm just giving you what is happening. Because you have to filter through this BS I've been seeing. They show 5 or 6, 20 bandits, punks. I mean, they're punks, okay? Their livelihood is kidnapping and robbing. I'm not saying it's minor, it isn't, because when they kill somebody for ransom, it's serious. But they're not Mujahideen soldiers. And I'm angry with Captain Traore because he should correct this stuff and stop it. Go after the people who you said did it, because they can't. Why? They're in Mali. In Mali, they have a sensitive situation going on right now. You have the Afro-Arabs, the Tuareg, and you have the Fulani. And they have to be very careful. When they pick a fight with one, they inadvertently, the other two groups go and join in the fight against them. Mali is trying to get their country together, and they're trying to bring people together in Mali. Burkina Faso, no. We'll get into that. So I'm just talking, I'm giving you a backdrop, brothers and sisters, to this. Let me honor our brothers and sisters who have showed up here. Thank you very much, my dear. Hey, brother, how you doing? Matthew, I haven't seen you in a long time, my dear brother. You must have been busy. Are you tired of seeing my programs or whatever? But thank you very much, my dear brother. Matthew, thank you very much for showing up. And Anjorama, my dear brother, Assalam. Thank you very much for showing up, my dear brother. Thank you very much. And we got African Royalty, as usual. Thank you. Wassalam. Thank you very much. And for all your felicitations, everybody, thank you very much for showing up today. So now, brothers and sisters, I had somebody, it can't be Fulani, but they have somebody again warn me, basically threaten me again about this issue about defending the Futafula community, and I should not talk. Okay, and so forth and so on. You see me. I didn't listen to the person. I know this is a two-bob. I didn't listen. I'm going to talk because I'm going to talk about a situation like this because it's not right. When our Sahelian governments go and kill Fulani people and claim they're all terrorists, what is a 7-year-old little girl who's sitting in a village? What does she has to do with killing of soldiers? She has nothing. So why they kill her? This is what I'm talking about. So this is why I'm setting the record straight. And we must do that, brothers and sisters. We must set the record straight. When our brothers are wrong, we tell it as it is as Muslims, because we're Muslims first before we're Fulani. We're Muslims first. When we do wrong, we go and we talk about that. And we try to correct and bring our brothers to the right way. But when we are harmed, we should not remain quiet. Okay. So, and also I don't even want to give you the African stations. I mean, there's a plethora of them now. They showing bandits, kidnappers, and they're talking about these are the real mujahideen. And you see how the mujahideen, you look at these kids, they're poor. Okay. They come from poor villages. They're gangsters, and their only way of life, because why? Their herds were destroyed, their livelihoods, their parents were killed. They have nowhere to go, so they form in groups and they go and rob and steal. That's their livelihood. They're not mujahideen. And again, I ask anyone, how can a bunch of 20-year-old, 21, 22 gangsters, kidnappers, go and strategically meet an army of 200 Burkina Faso soldiers and kill them? Brothers, you know it's not right, especially when they want to ignore the telecast that the Messina gave saying that they were responsible for it because of their massacre of Fulani herdsmen and their families in Burkina Faso. See, they ignore that. So that's why I want to get the record straight on this. Now, brothers, sisters, this is what is upsetting to me. We see militias like this all through the Sahel. They're sanctioned by the governments unofficially. But again, you have ethnic groups who have a score to settle with the Futafula. How can a poor village, yesterday, they have very few cars, they have no weapons, they are farmers, dirt farmers, so forth and so on. Suddenly, the next week, they come with what you call them, the SUV cars and AK-47s and a lot of other military hardware. Now, how can that be? And who did they target? They target the Fulani, like this. See, and again, you look at this brother. A week ago, this brother had nothing. He was in the village, in his village, farming. Suddenly, he has now a car that's well equipped to fight, and he's got arms and ammunition, and he's got a whole bunch of his brothers from his ethnic group, from his militias, and they go to kill Fulani. Who gave them this money to get this? This is what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters, okay? This is what I'm talking about. And many of these brothers are not Muslims. Some are Muslims and others are not Muslims. But it's the point that they are killing our brothers, and they're sanctioned under Burkina Faso. We're talking about them in particular now, and other of the especially the Western Corridor, are sanctioned to kill. And you notice they never bring these brothers who killed the Fulani people for no reason. They never bring them to trial. They never arrest them. They never get them and take their guns from them. This is what I'm talking about. That's why I'm saying, Captain Terrari, if I could see him, he's our brother. I love him. Yes. Will I protect him from, with the Tubab? Yes. I don't care. We have Africans. We have our own. Well, we have a quarrel among us, right? We know Pulaku, right? If we have a quarrel, we go to our brother and we discuss it with him. We don't go get the Tubab to come in to go murder another African. And and all of us should go to protect him, and even though he's in error in some ways, but we should protect him from the Tubab. So that I want to get that straight. I will not join with the Tubab against him. I will not. But I do have my arguments with him. And this is part of it. Why don't he go after the militias who killing the Fulani? He's not doing that. See? And it's a rogue operation. To make matters worse, brothers and sisters, we also have our esteemed imams from the Futafula community, brilliant scholars who have gone into the government to try to get them to stop what is happening and try to bring the factions together. but they say no. I asked the question many times when I see Captain Troy talking. He said, terrorists, everybody's terrorists. I said, yes, my dear brother. But what is that little 7-year-old little girl that your militias just murdered? And I want to ask him, why did the Messina leave Mali? Why did the Asawad leave Mali, enter Burkina Faso, and kill those soldiers? Why? And why are they saying that your group, your militias, and your ethnic groups killed Fulani herdsmen and their families? This is things that I think is legitimate that we asked our brother. See? And we have many reports of many things going on. We have armed militias and military people going to villages where they have no weapons. These are, some of them are Futotoro now, some are not even hurting, others are hurting, but they living in the small communities. They're not hurting anybody. And especially many, they have old men and women and so forth and so on. Our brothers here go to these villages claiming they're looking for the Messina. Messina are located in Mali. So they talk about and here they said they're looking for them. This is why I'm saying, brothers and sisters, there's something wrong here. They said they're looking for the Messina. Messina is sitting in Messina in Mali. So they go and murder our brothers in Burkina Faso and then say that they were collaborators. This is why I'm saying, brothers and sisters, this issue is very, very bad. Very, very bad. And I don't like it. And that's why I'm talking about it. And these militias like this, especially the Morsi, and there's 2 other militias, they hate the Fulani. They've been at war with the Fulani because in yesteryears, they got their butts kicked. Because you know what has happened in the region, because of the Messina, and then you had the Hapular. The Fulani groups have always maintained control. The Morsi were, they were under the umbrella of the Fulani for centuries. Now it's time for them to retribution and so forth against us. And this is why, these issues are serious. So now you have that backdrop. I want you to think about the situation, my dear brothers. I want you to ponder what I'm trying to say. You filter out the news when you see Burkina Faso, and then you see our esteemed brother, Captain Traore, and you hear him talking about the terrorists. But I said, okay, you said you're going to revenge the 200 soldiers, but why are you killing Fulani herdsmen who have nothing to do with that? Yes, go and arrest the bandits. Arrest them. Yes, you should, because they're kidnapping even other Fulani. Get them. And the Muharaba type who go in the outskirts and rob people and kidnap them for ransom. Yes, get them. Arrest them. But don't call them Messina. Don't call them Mujahideen and said that these punks who you arrested, 10 or 15 of them, were responsible for killing 200 soldiers. That's wrong. And I want to take my brother to task on that. We got, we're here. Let's see what we have. We got what our brothers got to say here. This is not new. Our enemies have been doing this even before and when colonialism happened, it even got worse till today because the colonists are put in charge of these groups to keep killing. Yes, see, this is, our brother said it right. This is a part of it. We have the Tuba Western powers. They're slick. They'll arm even some Fulani subgroups, but then they turn back around and arm the Fulani groups. Arm the other ethnic groups who are at war with the Fulani. They're very, very dirty. Why? Because this is what they had done, how they conquered. They go and pit Africans together. They arm both of them, let them kill them off, and then they take over. Remember what I said days ago when I talked about the Hapular and the Messina, when they had that big, big series of wars in 1862. The French were coming eastward. They were coming through Senegal now, okay, from the Senegambia region and moving eastward. Our brothers decided, because of a beef they had, to fight it out, and they killed most of their soldiers, so they could not take out the French. So the French are doing, and the Americans, everybody are doing the same thing today. They armed the Mosi, they armed some of the miscreant groups over here. They'll give bandits weapons and money so they can do what they got to do. We know this is occurring. So our brother here is talking right. They are in this mischief. See, there are in this. And okay, we've got this one here. We need our targets. Yes. Now, here's the issue about this, brothers and sisters. Okay, we have to talk this out. The Tuareg have their beef, especially in Mali. Okay, they have their beef. They have been persecuted. We cannot say they haven't. Our brothers in the north have been persecuted, and so forth and so on. Now, they claim that the northern tier of Mali should be their homeland. We're not going to debate that today. Then we have other Tuareg militias who have been killing Fulani also. See, and many of them have went into the militias and killed innocent Fulani. Then we have some of the Aswad group who are aligned with the Messina. Okay, they're separate, but when somebody goes after this particular group of Tuareg Mujahideen, then the Messina go to aid their brothers, their Muslim brothers, to fight against that enemy. In many cases, IS and AQ. That's right. That's right. See, or when the Messina is attacked or their villages are attacked, okay, then certain groups of the Asawat groups, right, will go to aid their Fulani brothers against the AQ and other ethnic groups. This is why this dynamic is very, very complicated. Now, we go back again, as you heard me say. Look at Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso lost 200 or more soldiers. They were executed. The bandits, again, that you see on TV are not responsible for that. They're punks. They don't have the strategic manpower and the knowledge, military knowledge, to go do such a thing. Now, the Messina have said they were responsible. Now, they even gave false reports and said that one of the leaders, his name is Diko, which is Fulani. They said they captured him and executed him. But now we have reports that wasn't the case. He was one of the factions from the Messina, and they let now the Tuareg Asawat group, who've been aligned themselves with the Fulani, went into Burkina Faso, located the soldiers who allegedly, again, because we don't have all the proof, and executed 200 of their soldiers. This is what we know. So this is very, 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 very interesting development. Walaikum salam. Thank you very much, my dear brother. Thank you, Anjarama salam. Thank you, my dear brother, for showing up today. Thank you very much. So now let's look at this, brothers and sisters. I want to give you this education so you can understand the Sahel, why we have a problem, why the Sahel is full of problems, okay? And we're not going to get out of these problems until we solve certain aspects of it. You cannot have a healthy Sahel without solving the Fulani problem. See, you cannot, and we don't, and this is one of the issues, again, brothers and sisters, that is plaguing us, is this problem that nobody wants to deal with us. Everybody hates us. They want to attack us. They want to malign us. And they want to label every Fulani as a criminal and as a terrorist. Now, Captain Traore in Burkina Faso, because we're mainly concentrating on him because he's in the news and what happened to his soldiers. We're not making light of the 200 killed, because a death in Islam, accordingly, is something. We don't have enough knowledge, and that's for the scholars on the ground to see if the Messina and the Asawat group who came to assist, or were they right or wrong. I'm not here to debate that. I'm just here to give you what happened and how they went in and avenged for their brothers who were executed and killed. Even their children were killed in Burkina Faso, allegedly in March. Messina said it did happen. That's why they went into Burkina Faso to find the soldiers who did it. And they found them and they executed them. If the Sahelian governments were correct, they would take the Mujahideen soldiers now, okay, and basically give them jobs and let them patrol the savannah regions. and the Sahel and the Sahara. Why? Because they know the area like the back of their hand. You incorporate them to fight against the bandits and the robbers. We have cattle people who kill the Fulani and take their cattle. We didn't talk about them. We have from ethnic groups, even some Fulani rogue groups will go after their brothers who got cattle, kill them and their families, and then take their cattle and sell it. We use the Mujahideen because they have weaponry and they have military prowess, and let them patrol the region. If our governments are right, instead of trying to kill them, they can. All these groups they're getting bigger and bigger and stronger, even with the mercenary group Wagner, or in English, Wagner, and in Russian is Wagner. And so remember something, brothers and sisters. Guess what? Our brothers, our Fulani herdsmen, killed hundreds upon hundreds of them last year. And they even went on their television programs there in Russia, talked about that. And some Western press covered that they were ambushed. Many have been killed. They killed hundreds of Wagner mercenaries plus Western other mercenaries here in the Sahel about a year ago. And Messina was a part of that. The Asawad group were part of that. And some other groups were part of this in there to kill the mercenaries. Here, we're talking about an issue where they should go to them because there are African brothers and Muslim brothers and go to them and try to bring them to the table. But I'm going to get into why that's not going to happen. Mujahid groups among the Futafula are mainly herdsmen, disaffected and persecuted. Brothers and sisters, I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you are. When your community is persecuted and killed outright, you are going to do things to protect yourself and your livelihood. This is no different with the Futafula people. They have been murdered and massacred. They're going to go and try to do something to protect themselves. The militias are mainly homegrown. We have Fulani militias. This is where the confusion lies. Not with me, not with many of our Fulani scholars and many on the ground and historians. We know what's happening here. We have militias that are not AQ. They're not Messina. They're not IS. They're not bandits or kidnappers. None of that. They're homegrown Toro Fulani. And they have their communities. They're not trying to take over the government. They're not trying to go to take on the government forces in the capital or anything like that. All they do is protect their towns and their villages. Yet they were labeled as criminals and as terrorists. Here they're protecting against the people who are calling them that, against those people who came in their villages, raped the women, killed the children, took their cattle, took their wealth and so forth, and burned down their villages. So they went after them to start to fight. We have those Futafula who are in those militias. Okay. And then we have the reactionary herdsmen, as you know. So we have many different factions of our Futafula community who are involved in the Sahel. And this is why the Fulani problem is growing more incendiary and more hotter. Since the Futafula dominated region for centuries on and off, they know the Sahel and they know the Savannah and the Sahara best. This is why it's hard to defeat them, brothers and sisters. You heard me say this many times. If you look, I always tell you that all the time. There's one Russian station, okay, in Russia. It's out of Moscow. They speak in Russian language. They talk about the Sahel a lot. They talk about the issue that the soldiers who came back and made reports. They said that when they were in the Sahel and in the Savannah region, and sometimes even up further north into the Sahara, they're patrolling along with the security forces, right? They look left, look right, they don't see nothing. They say suddenly out of nowhere, these Fulani or Tuareg or Afro-Arabs come out of nowhere and ambush them. So these brothers know the Sahel very well because they've been patrolling it. They've been operating in it for centuries. They know it like the back of their hand. It's like you know your house. Even if you turn the lights out, you know where the kitchen is. You know where the bedroom is at. You know where the door is at. This is how well versed our brothers are, along with the Tuareg, the Amazigh, and the Afro-Arabs, and so forth and so on. They know the Sahel and the region very, very well. Coming to the north, especially going to the Sahara, they know very, very well. Now we're going to get into some problems here. The Sahelian Muslim rulers must bring forth the Sharia law as government. Brothers and sisters, you heard me over the years talk about the same issue. I'll get to you guys, brothers, to hold on there and chat. I make this point. All of the Mujahideen groups, I don't care if it's the Asawad, the Tuareg, if it's the Ansar Deen, of the Afro-Arabs, I don't care if it's the Messina. All of them have said the same thing. They want the Sahel run under Sharia law. They want the West Africa governments under the Sharia law. If our esteemed leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Traoré, turned around and declared an Islamic State and said that the Sharia would be its governance, 99% of the problems that they have with the Mujahideen groups will be gone. Because under the Sharia law, the scholars of Islam will be involved. They will go to the government and they will go to Mujahideen and sit down with both groups. Since now we're under the Sharia and we will ask for composition, our Musino group will say, look, we lost 100 villages. We lost 100,000 cattle. Okay, you know, and then this is how the Messina did this years ago when there were problems, when there were conflicts and so forth. They look and examine, and the state would pay for the damages. Meaning, if two groups were fighting, farmers and herders, the farmers came in and wiped out many of the Fulani. Say in 1715. Say, for instance, I'm just giving a date. Then the Messina, who was involved, would say, okay, they bring both factions under the Sharia together. And they say, okay, you did this, and we have to compensate them. So they'll give 100 or whatever the cattle was lost back to the Fulani. If the Fulani were wrong and they burnt out the farms, then they would pay and have these farms rebuilt and so forth and so on. That's how they solved their problems. We don't have that today. If we went back to the Sharia, 99.9% of the problems with IS, with the AQ, with the Asawad groups, with Ansar Deen, with the Messina, and all the other offshoot militias, 99% of their problems would be gone. They want them to incorporate Sharia as a vehicle. Okay, now, this is the interesting part. They want them to incorporate Sharia law as a vehicle. Now, the secular groups, our brother Traoré is a Muslim, but he's secular. From all accounts, everything evidence I'm getting, he's still a Muslim. But the Asawad, the Messina, the AQ factions, the IS factions say, hey, brother, you're not running the Sharia law, so I'm going to attack you. And you have unauthorized mithaq in Arabic language agreements, okay, with the disbelievers that are not right. So I'm going to attack you to bring you to the right way. If you heard my program here 3 days ago, I gave you the instance as Surah Toba, which is Surah 9, where Subhanahu wa ta'ala is given the authorization of the brothers who are fighting, or who you have one group to mediate against the other, right? To mediate so they stop the fighting. But if one of the groups are wayward from the Sharia, you have a right to fight him to bring him back to the Sharia. You see? They're using that instance, the Messina, the Asawad group, the Ansar Deen, the AQ, IS, all of them are using this particular surah and Haya to attack the government, saying, you're Muslim, but we're going to try to bring you back to the Sharia. So you don't hear this because they don't talk about this. Only thing you can hear is our leaders, like even Captura, excuse me, that's Arabic, democracy, and so forth and so on. Now you get the nuts and bolts of what's going on, what they're saying to them. See, they in turn must solve the problem with our herder families. The Fulani problem is massive. We have herding families all across the Sahel, going from Senegal, Mauritania, all the way across into Habasha, which is Ethiopia, we know today. We have Fulani herdsmen and their herds across the Sahel, which is about 2 times bigger than the United States. And they have to solve this problem, and they have not done it. These governments must incorporate, protect, and give amnesty to revenge killings of Fulani, Tuareg, and Hausa, Tiv, Yoruba, etc. Our Sahel governments should get together and they bring everybody together and say, hey, I'm going to give you amnesty. I want to bring peace. But that peace comes with a cost, brothers and sisters. And in between there is Sharia law. What does Subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Sharia law? He said, Khair Hakamiya. Look at this inside the Quran. There's a couple of spots where Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about his governance is the best of governance. Khair al-Hakamiya. And the surah that he favors for this is Surah 5, which is Ma'idah. It talks about Islamic governance, among other things. See? So, again, brothers and sisters, we have this. They should do this. But there's a reason why they don't do that. I'll get into that. Oh, excuse me. Let me get to our brothers here. We got brothers here. Okay. Let's see. We'll find the mean to this. Okay. Or always have been primary. Okay. Here we go. I think we got this one here. Our brother says here, Fulani have always been primary antagonists to other black tribes in the region, with their jihads capturing other tribes to sell to the Arabs. Now, see, that's not necessarily all the case, my dear brother. Every African, regardless if he was Juju, if he was Obia or Voodoo or Muslim, the rogue elements got Africans and sold them. No doubt about that. The Fulani, we have our rogue elements as well. We had the Mendinka and we have Mende, we have Wolof, Jolof. Every African saw quick, easy money. So they go capture their brother and sell them. This is across the board, not only the Fulani. So we cannot say the Fulani groups, because if this is the case, how did the Messina, all these powerful groups, they didn't build their empires based upon slavery. It was the exact opposite of that. They fought against slavery, but you always have rogue elements who did do this. They joined forces with the Portuguese and with the other Tubac forces to kidnap. And they did do this. Yes, we have Fulani who are involved in this, no doubt about that. But as a general picture of saying that they all did this is not true, because you got to look at all the Fulani sultanates and emirates. How did they get powerful? From gold, from their agriculture, and so forth and so on, not from selling slaves. And that's a proven fact. Okay, don't mean to distract. Is there any Fulani writers that can check out and learn about the Islam? And yes, we have that. We have some. I don't have their names offhand, but we do have Fulani scholars who talk about some of the things we're talking about today, but not basically, Islamic. You can check out. I'm gonna tell you. You can go to Facebook, and I should put. Let me see. Excuse me for a minute, brothers and sisters. Let me check. Gumi is my brother. You got check. I'm just writing. Please hold fast. I'm just writing for our brother here so he can have some references here. I urge you to check out are, I'll just give you this for brevity. Uh, and Here, these two in Nigeria, I know Sheikh Gumi, my brother here, he is very good. Go to Facebook and also YouTube. They have some of his things you can learn. But the only problem is he doesn't talk and speak in English. He speaks mostly in the Hausa language and in Arabic. But he does have some class where there's English. And Sheikh Bala also, he speaks Hausa, Arabic, and he does have some English as well. But those just a start to get you going. But the best knowledge is to get it from straight from the scholars themselves. And also we have books now. You get your books, the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ. You get you a Quran, especially to learn the Arabic language, and find the tafsir of the Quran to help you to understand the Quran. And then we have many English speakers who now dissect the Quran and Islam to get you up to speed on learning your religion. We have many that you can find on YouTube. Many of them are good, and many of them are not Fulani. They're Arabs, they're African American, they're Europeans. We have a variety of brothers who are very good at teaching Islam. So you have your pick of what you want. Okay, where we at here? Okay, right here. It will never be a religious state. Africa for Africans, not these invading religious, political. There are many. Yes, there are many religions and so forth. I will offer you this, my dear brother. I disagree with you on this. What's going to happen is we've seen this as Islam is gaining a foothold. They're starting to become the majority, if not already majority, of Africans on the continent. And they say estimates between 2,000 to 3,000 or more. Some estimates say 5,000 per day are joining the ranks of Islam. We also know our Prophet ﷺ had made declarations talking about the encompassing rule of Islam. We're starting to see that. We're starting to see this now. It's starting to come up. We're starting to see rulers coming up who are fighting against the disbelievers, against them and their rule. We're starting to see this. Africa is not going to be united under Juju. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not going to be united under Obia or Orissa or any other traditional African religions. They don't have the power, the manpower, and they don't have the blessing from Subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Muslims will govern, and there will be a united Africa Islamic states. There's no doubt in my mind, because it's coming to that. As Islam is, you see dignitaries from all over. You have scientists who were atheists, agnostics, so forth and so on, now joining. You have politicians who are now joining. You have the Islamic power and money is starting to take hold here in Africa as well. So I disagree with you. It's going to, maybe not in my lifetime, but I believe it's going to happen, my dear brother. So we can agree to disagree, but I believe it's going to happen. And maybe you disagree with me. I see you do. And that's something we can agree on, that we disagree on that issue. Okay, we already covered this one. Let me see what our brother here had to say here. Leads with Black Arm first, not with. Okay, well, my dear brother, now you're starting to get a little bit more personal. Please, I would refrain. We have a beef, but with our dear brother, yes. But now you're bordering on disrespect, and I'm not going to have that. Okay, we don't do this here, and we're African people, and you should know this. If you're African, we may disagree with our brother, but we may disagree also. I don't. I'm a Muslim. I don't believe in Jujuism or voodooism or any other isms. I don't believe it. I believe in Islam. But I'm not going to sit here and defame and so forth and so on, because we have provisions as Muslims of doing against that. But we can talk about other issues and so forth. So please, I urge you, my dear brother, to turn down some of your rhetoric here. If not, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Okay. Okay. You know what? This is going to be my last warning to you. Okay, my dear brother, please refrain from this. I'm not going to warn you again. Okay. Let that sink in. I don't know who you're talking. Now I'm starting to see, I think we got some, yeah, you're addressing somebody here. I don't know who had, you talking about the Turks? I don't know, because I know the Turks had him and the Egyptians also had them at one time under the Turks. That was a sad epitaph. Okay, we got, are you Fulani? Yes, I'm Fulani. I'm Fulani. Yes, I'm Fulani. Matter of fact, I did a short video showing pictures of my mother. If you look at my mother and my grandmother, I just honored them. They've long passed now. My mother passed many, many decades ago, and then my grandmother even further than that. So, and you look at them, I'm Fulani. There's no doubt about that. I got my DNA to prove that, and whatnot. And there's some other indications too that when I was a child and then I got older, I start to see things and I could not understand, but now I understand why it was like that. And we are Fulani people. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yes, yes. I am that. Okay. You are, and that's good. I appreciate that very much. There's no harm in being Hausa as well. So we can be proud to be Fulani, but if you remember something, if we're Muslims, the Brotherhood of Islam, it takes precedence over the Fulani, Brotherhood. Okay, we got this here. The skis run after. Yes, they did. They did, and so we know this is the case. They did run that, but at this point now, we're not talking about the ancient history of that. We're talking about current times. We're talking about Burkina Faso. We're talking about the Fulani problem of the Sahel. We're not going to talk about what happened in the 1500s. That I've covered some issues about that in other talks, but I can't cover that today. And we got here, how anyone advocate that for sure it will never happen. Again, I don't know what you mean. BTW Sharia was responsible. No, brother, you can't pick an isolated thing and say that, because you have to understand what a situation. I don't know. I know the Sharia, you cannot stone a young child. You just cannot. You can wait till that person becomes a adult if the Sultan or the Qadi is the judge, the Islamic judge of the Islamic court, he can rule that if this young boy of 9 years old, say for instance, he made a heinous crime by maybe Sam say for instance, he went and killed and robbed a family. He would hold him until he got old enough to be an adult. According to Islam, remember something, our Nabi gave a decision, and you look at this as sunnah. How do you tell if the boy is now entering into manhood? By the pubic hair. Okay, I'm not trying to be nasty, but I'm just giving you a fact. So when that boy of 9 years old began to grow hair down, in the chin area, then maybe the Qadi will order him to be stoned. See, or not stoned in this sense, because if he's stoning has to do with adultery. A young girl who slept with a married man, say she's 12 years old, for instance, and she slept with a married man, she will not be stoned. She most likely won't even be whipped, because you're supposed to give lashes for the person. The person's married, you stone them. But stoning it is a special ruling, and I can't get deep into the shit. I just gave you a little bit of that. So I don't know about this case, but if they stone a little girl, that's wrong. I never heard of such a thing, and I'm in touch with a lot of things in Nigeria. I haven't heard this. If our brothers, if anybody's here, maybe they can chime in on this, because I follow northern Nigeria because that's where my family's from. So I follow that extensively. I never heard of such a thing. And I never heard of any Qadi will give such an order to have a young girl stoned. It's just not right, because the Qadi understands the Sharia law. I just gave you this instance about a child. They cannot do that. They can execute that person once that person becomes older, if the Qadi so says so, after he gets the approval of the ruler. It's a lot of issues here to that. Okay. Switching to Christianity. Okay, that's your prerogative. You can do that. But you know what? I'll say to you, I'm starting to see you know, okay, you got something else here. Let me see what the girl's name was Deborah, please. Now, I think I know what you're talking about now. I remember it was a case, if I remember this right, it was 2 years ago now, I think it was. I know what you talked about. They took some girl, I can't remember all the factions, but this was a mob. It wasn't a Qadi. The Qadi didn't give a authorization to kill somebody. A mob of people did this. That's the difference. This is why we have problems. The Muslims are always castigated. A Muslim goes and robs a gas station. Okay, on his way, there's a gas station that's out there, out in the outskirts in northern Nigeria, going to the south. He's got a gas station, and you can get a place where you can get some goodies and things to eat. Most say 2 Fulani youths who are bandits, say for instance, they come in and rob this man and kill him. First thing, people who hate Muslims turn around and say, the Muslims authorized this. The Muslim Qadi authorized this. The Muslim ruler authorized this. It's not the case. Because they're human beings. They made a mistake, they did something wrong, and they should pay for it. But you can't blame Islam. There's no ruling by Islam, by any scholarship, that gives authorization to stone a little girl. We have authorization to stone according to the ruling from the Qadi. See, but I can't go as a Muslim, say, okay? I can't go find, I'm just walking down the street, I see a house and the windows open, and I'm walking and they have the light on, and I catch somebody performing sexual relations. And I know the woman. I said, wait a minute, she lives here. This is her husband and her family. Can I go get her and stone her? No, I cannot. So let's get that right, okay? Because it's wrong. We don't do that. And if they do it, they're doing it outside of Islamic law. I have to talk about that issue. So now, this is, again, brothers and sisters, issue here. The governments must protect and give amnesty to everybody. All the avenged killings, we should bring everybody together, and we should have an amnesty and so forth, and bring people together, because we need this in the Sahel. We need this. And we cannot turn around and go against the Fulani people. You must acknowledge and celebrate their achievement, because many of the things that we see today is because of these rich sultanates. Why do you think the Tubab came in? Because in the Sahel region of West Africa is many riches, as we know. That's why the Tubab is willing to kill anyone and everyone to keep the gold, bauxite, cocoa, water. You go all the way across. There's many things they want. See, so we should recognize the Fulani history. That's a start. And we should promote healthcare. Many Fulani today don't have any of the things I'm talking about here. Under our sultanates, everybody, even the Juju lived in security, because that's the Sharia law. Even though he's a minority, he lived in protection. He had health care. He was not say, hey man, you're Juju. No. Even those who were Marabots, we know what they are. I won't get into that. They were part of the Islamic group, meaning because they spoke for their people and they had grievances, because everybody can live under the Sharia law. The Marabat goes to the Sultan to say, look, we have people attacking our people at the church. Okay, maybe they're practicing voodoo and they have their church over here. Under Sharia law, they have their right to be over here to do their thing, as long as they don't violate Islamic law, see? So we have that. But we need this program here to help our people. The Fulani people were educated, from the herder who was herding cattle to the Fututoro Fulani wealthy brother. all had education and they could read and write. That went by the wayside, in the colonial period. Then after independence, the Fulani have been neglected. And this is part of the problem. Now, see, we get to the big part of this, brothers and sisters. The Sahelian governments refuse to take responsibility for the current Fulani jihad that is gaining steam throughout the Sahel. Their merciless killings of Fulani all over the place, okay, from the Eastern Corridor region all the way over to the Western Corridor region, they're killing Fulani people. And now we're starting to see a Fulani jihad that is getting stronger and stronger and getting bigger and louder. They refuse to take responsibility. They just said to me, every other Fulani, wake up in the morning. For some reason, I go get AK-47 and I start shooting people. It's not the case. It's not the case, brothers and sisters. It's not the case. But this issue here, they need to take responsibility for that. This is, they have to do something to protect these young Fulbe men. Give them opportunities, because the opportunity they have now is to form gangs for self-protection, and then they join Mujahideen groups or they join the dreaded AQ or the ISIS in order to put food on the table and have protection. We got to give them alternatives from that. And we're not having that today in the Sahel. This is why the problem in the Sahel, the Fulani problem, is so great. You have young men who are now bandits. You have young men who are now kidnappers. You have young men who are mafia, because that's the only way of life they can put food on the table. Is it right or wrong? We know it's wrong, but they're doing it because they don't have the opportunities. And they have to find ways to bring our young Fulbe men, to incorporate them back into society. But they don't want to do that. They prefer to have them do this so they can kill the Fulani and kill the seed. When you go kill a Fulani gangster who's 20 years old, that means he won't reproduce. That means he won't have a family. See? So there's some truth to this. Only a few actually have joined ISIS and AQ. Only a few, brothers and sisters. We know that. But our governments they're not creative enough due to hatred. They don't like us. And that's why they don't care. They don't want to help us. They will help other ethnic groups, but they don't want to help us. And this is a sad epitaph. And then after they do all this, they wonder why there's a Fulani jihad, especially from the Western Corridor moving eastward. They say, I don't understand why that is. Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? I'll get to you in the chat. Hold fast, my dear brothers. However, the real reason that the Sahelian governments and leaders are refusing to come to the table, this is what I want you to think about. They will be exposed as weak and marginal Muslims. Captain Traore, all the rest of them. This is why they don't, because when they bring the Messina to the table, they bring the Asawad groups to the table, they bring the Ansar Deen to the table, they bring the Fulani militias to the table, the Fulani herdsmen militias to the table, they bring the Afro-Arabs to the table. All of them are going to say, I want to see Sharia law. I want to see the prior government of my ancestors, who the Messina, and how they governed. I want that. These leaders today don't want Sharia law. They want democracy. Now, you heard me talk about this, and we have scholars that the proof is there in the Quran about what Subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Muslim who does not rule by what Subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. Subhanahu wa ta'ala says that his governance is best. Khair hakamiyah. See, he says it's in the Quran. And that's why I know if I was there, I would say to our dear brothers and sisters, wait a minute, what are you following? Are you reading the Quran? Now, I know it's difficult non-Muslims. But if you implement the Sharia in segments, you don't go one day as a leader, as Captain Troy, and say you come to all the people and say, look, we're gonna bring 100% Sharia next week. Can't do that. Not in modern times like this, because there's things you have to add on and so forth, because things have changed. This is not the 7th century. This is not the 6th century anymore. He can implement into 4 segments. The first part of the segment is educating people about the Sharia. The second is the implementation of some of the laws. Third is more of the laws, and fourth, all Sharia 100%. This is how you operate this. Because we have to do something, because democratic ways means is killing us. It's killed this continent, and it's continued to kill the continent. We have beggars. Now we have the South African president, because Trump, you know what he's done. He said to Africans, go shove it. I'm not giving you no money. Now we got the South African president running to go kiss the boots of Trump to get some trinkets from him so he can take back to South Africa. Sharia law would stop all of that nonsense. See, would stop all of that. So the real reason the governments don't want to come to the table, because it comes out. You think about this. Here's a telecast, and here is a leader telling Muslim scholars and others he will not use Sharia law. That's going to make him look very bad. And when he tells, I want to implement the democratic ways, the way the Americans run it, the way the disbelievers run it in France, he's going to be sitting among scholars. The scholars will have the Quran right there. They will have the Sunnah of the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam right there. They will have the fatwas from every era right there to correct him, say, hey, where are you getting this information from? You say you're Muslim? Yes. Where are you getting authority to run democratic ways on the other Muslims? When Subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us in Surah Nisa 141, do the research on it. He said he will not allow the ways of the disbeliever and their governance to trump over the Muslims. You can't use the American system to judge the Muslims. You can't use the American system to govern the Muslims. You cannot. It's forbidden. See? So this is something that I want to bring out. And you do your research. Again, Surah 4, 141. That in itself trumps Captain Traore. It trumps the other Fulani and other quote-unquote Muslim leaders who get on TV yelling about democratic ways and means. I asked them, where is the authority for this? I'm Muslim, they say. I asked the question, when you address us, why can't you say Bismillah Rahman Rahim? They don't even do that. When you ask them, hey, brother, can you say Subhanallah? No, they cannot. Can you address us as Assalamu Alaikum? They cannot do it. You think about it, listen to them, even him. He'll quote the communists, he'll quote the Russians, he'll quote everybody else. But you ask him, can you give me salam? No, he cannot. Can you say, please, subhanallah? No, you cannot. Can he give the greetings the way the Muslim is supposed to greet even disbelievers? He cannot. Can he say, salamu ala mani tabahuda? No, he cannot say that either. See, if I'm sitting at the table, I would be asking my dear brother these questions. Where is your authority to run democratic ways and means? Not only him, the Nigerian president, he's Fulani. I would ask him as a scholar or as a person, I would ask him and say, hey, my dear brother, you're Fulani, Anjarama or Salam. I would give him something. Tell me, where is you are the head of state. Why are you running this? Where is the authority to run that? See? So I'm giving you these things. I want food of thought. I want you to think about it. You get mad at me, that's fine. I understand that. But come back to review what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about out of my head. I'm talking about Sharia law. And I want somebody, if somebody here says I'm wrong, somebody go and show me in the Quran where Subhanahu wa ta'ala has championed the American justice system. He has championed the Chinese and Russian system, or the Japanese. Where? Show me. Somebody please show me where that is in the Quran. Or go to the hadiths of the Nabi and show me where the Prophet said that the way of the Romans is the best way. Somebody show me if they disagree with me. Let's see what we got here. Let me here. Our brother said with girl's name. Yes, we covered that area. We talked about that. Here, fair enough, brother. I will keep in tune to listen more. Okay, thank you very much, my dear brother. And we got who we got here, brother here. Okay, outside the furrows of something is where the greatest demonstration of African unity. Brother, kudos to you. Mayete, thank you very much. You just hit it right on the head. When the Islamic sultanates started to pop up, why did Subhanahu wa ta'ala make them wealthy? He took something out of nothing and brought forth wealth. This is the power of the Muslims. This is power of Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He took a dirt field savanna region, made a sultanate out of it, and enriched it. When he gave areas where they were growing nothing, suddenly he gave knowledge how to grow rice. Fonio rice, okay? Everybody knows that's the rice that's grown, especially in the corridor region. It's a native grass of West Africa, a native rice, I mean. See, why did you think the Europeans tried so hard to dismantle the Islamic sultanates? Because they were working and they were wealthy. And why they don't want the sultanates to reappear because it takes the power from them. Why do you think they promote the secular quote-unquote Muslims today? Because they know that it's easy to control them. But you can't control a bona fide Muslim ruler under the Sharia, especially if he follows his great ancestor. He's Fulani. He's got great ancestors who were fabulous, powerful sultans. Sultan Wadi, Sawadi, which is my favorite, him. Why don't he emulate that? If he emulate our brother in Nigeria, he's a Fulani. Why don't you look at the way your ancient brother, ancestral brother, Sultan Sawadi, how he managed the Messina? How? And it's bigger than Nigeria. How did he manage it? Or Sheikh Ya Diallo, Sultan. How about him? He's another one of my favorites of the Messina. So this is what I'm talking about. See, and we got here. Okay, where we got here? Okay, yeah, see it. We philosophically unity somehow. Yes, it's going to happen. Okay, in time. It's maybe not my lifetime, but you're going to have a get together, and you're going to have a great sultan on this African continent. And I believe his armies are be untouchable. This is going to be before the Mahdi comes. It's going to be untouchable. And all of this nonsense that we have of Muslim rulers today getting on TV talking about democratic ways and means, refusing to even mention the name of Subhanahu wa ta'ala, refusing even to mention the name of the Prophet, ﷺ, all of that be going by the wayside. You'll get rulers who will come on the TV and other modern devices in the future and come and say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Assalamu alaikum, Rahmatullahi Katu. You'll hear them say this. And you'll hear them say, Allah Ummah. You'll hear them venerating Subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't have that today. I sit back in my chair here and I watch Fulani rulers and non-Fulani Muslim rulers. They don't do that. But they're quick to praise and give some reference to some Tubab. See? Or some Tubab system, but not our own system. They don't even say anything about Pulaku. They don't even say anything about the Sharia law. I'm a stickler about that because I believe that can get us out of trouble. We bring Sharia law, it brings us out of the trouble because you look at all the sultanates that run from 711 to 1900s. You look at them. See, I just believe that this is the best way. So anyway, my brothers and sisters, I'm going to get ready to close here. On the recap here, I wanted to, again, talk about the Fulani problem because the Fulani problem is getting worse. And the Burkina Faso case has now brought it back to the forefront. You got a non-Fulani ruler. Okay, we had debates. Some said he's Mandinka. Some said he's Mosi. We don't know what he is. He said he's Muslim. Okay, that's good enough for me. I don't have anything other than that to say he's not Muslim or he's not practicing. As far as I'm concerned, he's Muslim. But we had a problem here a couple of months back. Now, weeks later, we have 200 Burkina Faso soldiers murdered or assassinated, according to the way you see it. They were assassinated because the Messina and the Assawa groups who got together in Mali came into Burkina Faso to avenge the murdering of our Fulani brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and uncles and grandfathers and our children, our daughters and sons, and avenge that murder. They came in from Mali into Burkina Faso, found the soldiers and executed them, 200 of them. Now, only a few media reports have talked about this issue. Some now have gone to the site and of the communique of the Messina, and the Messina did say in instance that they were responsible for killing the Burkina Faso soldiers for what they had done to our Futafula families in this one village region, Futatoro region, and some other parts of where our brothers are herdsmen. Okay? Now, we have reports that said this massacre didn't occur. But why did the Messina and Asawad Tuareg groups who joined together run into Burkina Faso, locate the garrison that was responsible and the militias who were responsible for murdering the Futafula brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers, and execute them? We got some questions here, brothers and sisters, okay? Somebody is lying. Captain Traore said it didn't happen. I saw him even say he didn't. He said that the Western media say it didn't happen. We had the U.S. State Department said the massacre did happen. I'm not giving them credence. I'm just giving you what has been said. We have UN humanitarian groups have said the same thing. We have others, but we don't have the witnesses of those who were murdered. My understanding, there was no witnesses left. There was nobody escaped this massacre that happened 2 months ago, or excuse me, in March. But the massacre reached the Messina, and the Messina and the Aswa groups came to Burkina Faso to kill. Now, our esteemed Muslim ruler, Captain Traore, said he is now going after terrorists. Good, fine, I agree with you. There's no room for Fulani mafia or any or Mosi or whomever. He should eliminate all criminal activity. All. See, I argue with him because he's saying that these people here who are gangsters, 20, 30 of them with motorbikes, okay, with AK-47s, with cash, that they were responsible. It's a lie, and he knows it. And he has not been able to go into Mali to go after the Messina because that's who came to kill his soldiers. He said he's going to avenge. Mali, on the other hand, knows it too. But Mali president is smart because if he goes all out, he's already got enough problems on his hand. He's got the northern tier. He's fighting against the Aswad group who wants their own statehood. And he got two factions of the Aswad group. He's got one who is secular. Then he's got the Mujahideen ones. He's got two groups there in the north. He has to fight. I'm talking to the Mali president. He's smart. Now to the central, he's got the Messina and also some of the Tuareg groups. He's got that. He's got his hands full. If he goes down and kills a whole bunch of Fulani herdsmen to go help his brother Tuareg and say that these ones did it, he's got enough on his plate. If those groups in Mali got together today from the south and to the north, and they made a push towards the capital, it'd be lights out, brothers and sisters. It'd be lights out. This president of Mali knows that. He's trying to negotiate, he's trying to keep peace, but he's also trying to keep the Mujahideen groups at bay. He's not going to make a wrong move, even though he loves his brother. He's got a pact with his brother in Burkina Faso and in Niger, but he realized his hands are tied. If he goes to the Messina and begins to execute the wrong persons, he's already got enough. When he concentrates on the south, the north is pushing southward to the capital. If the president then says, we heard some of the Aswad groups went to Burkina Faso, he runs his people up to the north. Now the south central, now Messina and the Aswad groups in the south move to the capital. Which way he's going to turn? He's surrounded. He can't muster anything. The Wagner group in English, mercenaries from Russia, they went there, got their butts kicked. They're here and there now and then, but they got their butts kicked. You got French mercenaries who made headway to the north, but did not make headway to the south. See, it's complicated, brothers and sisters. So I'm talking about this. All these are Fulani problems that they have not solved. How are they going to bring the Messina to the table? When our esteemed leaders talk about the Messina, they don't talk about the Messina as fighting the AQ and IS. They don't talk about that, huh? In the eastern corridor, in the eastern part of Niger and some parts of Chad and whatnot, they drove out the what? Boko Haram. That's right. You do your research. Drove them back to the south. And the herdsmen militias of my brothers in Nigeria, northern Nigeria, drove many of the Boko Haram back into what? Cameroons. Then they resurfaced back into to the southeast Niger and were again beaten back by Messina and herdsmen militia. Do your research. The Fulani problem is massive. It's massive, brothers and sisters, and it can't be solved by one little thing here and there. It's massive. And I'm giving it to you today. Okay, we got see what our brother says here. Yes, I hear too. Okay, yes, thank you very much for that. That's good. I'm glad to hear that you know that, my dear brother. It's a very, very stringent rules that we must adhere to and whatnot. And it's good to know that you are, adhering to that. Thank you very much for that. So, brothers and sisters, we have to look at this and to recap here. We have the soldiers across Burkina Faso, soldiers along with with Russian mercenaries, and they are killing. We have Fulani mafia, gangsters, kidnappers, robbers running havoc in Burkina Faso. They're being shot and killed as we speak, but they've been labeled as the ones who have actually did the killing of the soldiers, which is a blatant lie. He knows that the Messina and the Aswad group were responsible. He knows that. So maybe he doesn't want to give that information why He doesn't want to talk about that. But these soldiers here and these militias, brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you right now, we have a Fulani problem across the Sahel because we have people like this, and we have these militias like this who are killing our people across the Sahel. And they're sanctioned by the governments. The governments never arrest them. They say they arrest them. Sometimes they say that they curtail them, but they're not. They come right back a month later and kill more Fulani. And we have these militias like this killing our brothers in the Sahel, all across the Eastern Network in Nigeria, all across the Mosi militias and some Tuareg militias also who look like this, who are with AK-47s, are killing the Fulani people across the Sahel. See, so I give you all this information today. It's a lot of information. I've been here long, but you have this. Now you run with it, brothers and sisters. You do your research on this. If you agree with me, you say you agree, give me a little note. If you disagree, give me your proof that you disagree. No problem. Give me your proofs and whatnot. But I'm looking at it from another aspect because there's a lot of media. You go to YouTube now, every minute you turn around, there's something about Burkina Faso. They're praising the president. They're talking about now they're going and stopping all terrorism. They are going after the right people. Yes, they're going after the bandits. Yes, they're going after the robbers. They're going after the mafias. Yes, do it. But why aren't they talking about the people who actually killed his soldiers in Burkina Faso? See, why is he not talking about the Messina? Why he's not talking about the Asawa group? Why he's not? There was a false report by somebody in the government that said that Diko, who is one of the leaders of the Messina, and also another offshoot Fulani group who worked with the Tuareg, they said they captured him and his brother and executed his brother. Now, this is what they put out. Now we found out this is a lie. He wasn't executed nor caught. And Diko is Fulani. What a hell of a problem we have in the Sahel. The Fulani problem is just getting worse. We got government forces killing innocent Fulani. We have Fulani Mujahideen and herdsmen, militias who are running havoc through the Sahel in revenge mode. We have Kofa, who's one of the main leaders, emirs of the Messina, calling for a new jihad. See, so we have all this going on in the Sahel. Not to mention the problems in northern Nigeria with our bandits and other rogue Fulani elements who are running havoc. They're even killing other Fulani dignitaries. And let me mention something about this. With all of the scholarship, my brother Sheikh Gumi, my brother Sheikh Bala, and others, why don't they let them go to work? We got a Fulani president of Nigeria. Why don't you let your brothers go to work in the bush to bring the bandits and the kidnappers and other mafia rogue Fulani groups and also the Kanuri and bring them to the table to bring them out from this. Let our scholars do their job. Sheikh Gumi did do some of this. We know Sheikh Bala also went into Niger. We know about those issues. Let them go to work. Something was asked to me by one Fulani brother that I'm very close to from northern Nigeria. I don't want to mention his name here because he's not here. He was talking about this issue. He said that he wished, and he was making this observation. He said, I wish you were around here, because if you go into the areas and you start talking about the history, they don't know the history of the Fulani. You know it like the back of your hand. I could talk about all the great Pulo, all of the Bundo. I could talk about all of the Fulani sultanates. Okay, I know, like, memorize, like I can turn off a light. And so, but we have scholars that we need, and they can do their work to bring our Fulani wayward Muslims back to the fold. but we need help from the government as well. And each time government forces and militias like the Eastern Network there in northern Nigeria, the Mosi and Tuareg, some of the Tuareg rogue groups who kill Fulani, this is a bad news. And it's caused more bloodshed as Fulani begin to go after the groups who did this. So now you have that synopsis. See, and we have beautiful scholars who are sitting, some have been sitting at the table with the government, some have sit at the table with the military to get them to stop killing the Fulani, innocent Fulani herdsmen and their families. Stop killing the Toro Fulani in their villages and homelands. Stop killing them. We got our esteemed brothers like this, scholars, okay, brilliant, intelligent Muslims who are trying to bring, them to the table and also try to get to the military, but they have less power because many of the governments say that he's a terrorist because of that. So in order for them to, he stops because they'll arrest him as a terrorist because they don't want to see the Fulani scholars like this going to mediate. See, they don't want that. I'll take a couple more here, and then I got to close here. Let me see where we at here. Okay. Can it be one to try to seek to dominate the other or other custom be raised in above the other? We have fine with. No, this is not a thing of. No, my dear brother, this is not a thing of arrogance. I go and I say, look, I'm a Muslim and you ain't nothing. We in Islam, there's no compulsion. You can't do that. I ask you, my dear brother, what is the best governance? And you look at today and you look at the past and you think about that answer. See? Now, what financial system got all of these sultanates rich? Was it democratic ways and means? No, it was not. See? We can find peace, but the rulers who are Muslims in the Sahel won't come to the table because they will be exposed as either non-Muslim or as weak, derelict Muslims. Because when you get a man like him, do you think he's going to come to the table like he's doing here and tell, oh, I'm waiting to rule like the Americans. I want to push American ways of laws. I want to use the French law system or the British. This man here, this scholar here will tell you, he said, I'm going to use my ancestors' law and the laws of the Prophet, the Sharia law. I want this to bring peace to the region. And when the Muslims have taken this governance, we became rich. We have knowledge. When we took this, suddenly we had who would do the first eye surgery? Muslims in Timbuktu. Think about this. We had other surgeries of the body, heart surgery. Who did it? Muslims under the Sharia law, Fulani. We had space exploration. Think about this. In the 1500s, we had no space capsules we have today. We have no equipment, and we don't have any of the things they have. It's telescopes, but they could chart out the solar system. I mean, Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them knowledge upon knowledge. They took dirt land and made agriculture out of it. They took dates and made things out of dates and became rich. They took minerals and sold it. They sent diplomats into Europe, sold their products and became rich. This is under the Sharia law, not under democratic ways and means. Yes, he's a Muslim. He's a Muslim that we know. Yes, that we know. Now, we're not going to talk about his prayer habits because I don't know. And I always caution all brothers in this regard. You got to be careful when you go after and make takfir against a Muslim, because you do not know. If you have proof, you got to have proof that he does not pray. We don't have such a thing. So we cannot go after him and say he's not Muslim. As far as I know, he is Muslim, and we have to leave it at that. He is the president of Nigeria. He is the president. No, he is Fulani. He just got a dignitary award for being I just saw it in the I forgot what magazine it was talking about that. He is Fulani. I don't know where you got that information from. If I'm wrong, I know darn well he's because he's from the north, and I forgot the clan, but he is Fulani. Okay, the guy was before. Yes, but if I'm wrong, someone please correct me. I want you to give me the evidence on that because I'm almost certain that he is Fulani because his wife is Fulani. I know that. And I'm almost certain he's Fulani because he got some award for some group gave him something, Fulani group. I'm trying to remember not right. But if I'm wrong, someone please correct me. Please find it and give me the proof. Yes, it was a very powerful university. Very powerful university. So, brothers and sisters, now you have this, and it's been long today, but it's worth it because we're talking about the Fulani people, and we're talking about a problem, not just boasting about Fulani. We have a severe problem because we have killings, we got reprisal killings going on, and we're bringing forth issues because we want to see peace in the land. I want to see our scholars, our Fulani scholars, our House of Scholars, and others, Mandinka, Mende, go across the Sahel to go into governments and bring peace because they have Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's blessing. Subhanahu wa Ta'ala gave them this knowledge and this wisdom. When you see a brother like this here coming to the table, he commands respect. Yes, the military may be secular and modern and all that. They may not even like Muslims anymore themselves. But they're going to have respect for this man because they see wisdom on his face. They see the light of Islam on his face. They know he's a man of peace, and they know he's got wisdom and intelligence behind him. We need people like this. Sheikh Gumi, Sheikh Bala. There's a whole bunch of Sheikh, can't think his name, Tombo. There's many that we should bring forth in the Sahel to go to mediate between the government and against the Mujahideen and other Fulani and other ethnic groups. Bring everybody to the table to negotiate. We got to bring this so the Sahel can heal. The Sahel cannot heal with the Americans. The Sahel can't hear agreements with the Russians. The Sahel cannot heal with the agreement with the Chinese or any other disbelieving group. They cannot. We have to solve our own problems as Africans. And we have the manpower, we have the brilliance, like people like this who can come to help to bring peace to the Sahel. And I want to see this because we got to stop this bullshit here. Excuse my French. We got to stop this bullshit like this. We got roving bands of militias. Some Muslims, some are not. Some are Juju, some are animists who are killing Fulani, wrongfully killing them. And the government lets them do this. We got to stop this crap. We got to stop these kind of guys like this here, these militias who kill the Fulani families for no reason because they're Fulani. Because they themselves had somebody killed by maybe a herdsman or something. Maybe the herdsman went to a farmer and they had a squabble over water rights and he killed the farmer. So he said, that was my uncle you killed. So he in turn picks up an AK-47 and he go kill innocent Fulani. We have this. See? And we have also the situations where we have some other Muslim scholars, Fulani scholars who go to, our African leaders in the Sahel region and talk to them to negotiate, to try to bring peace. We have that. See, we have that. But brothers and sisters, but what is coming to now is this. It's coming to this now again with the Fulani jihads. It's coming to this. The difference now, instead of having long swords and lances, now it's the AK-47. See, now we're starting to have this stuff pop up in the Sahel because they have not solved the Fulani problem. And now the Fulani jihad is starting to come up. And we're starting to see this type of thing. See, and we starting to see this when Sheikh Kofa in the Messina said, I'm asking for a Fulani jihad across the Sahel to stop this murdering of the Fulani people and to bring the Sharia law and to bring peace in the Sahel. And we have, from what we understood, we have Muslims, Fulani Muslims from everywhere coming to this jihad. But now we're starting to see this because our leaders, okay, our leaders and military have forgotten that the Fulani jihad of the centuries before was strong, and now it's starting to come up. And they figured that the best way to stop everything is by killing innocent Fulani, and it's making worse. Our beautiful scholar here has told them if these guys are Muslims, he say, look, this is the Sharia law. This is what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said in the Quran. This is what our Prophet ﷺ has said in Hadiths. He will correct them to bring them to the right way. Then he'll go to the Fulani Mujahideen group, say, look, let's go to the table. Come here with me to the table. Let's negotiate, okay, with our African leaders and so forth. Yes, they may be weak and they may be marginal Muslims like this, but we still need to talk to them because they're African, they're Muslim, and we need to go to them to bring them to the table. Everybody comes to the table. Then we have our brilliant scholars like this who sit in between. On your left is the Mujahideen group and the militia groups and so forth and so on. And then you have on your right is the government and the government apparatuses and the military and security forces chiefs and so forth. Bring them to the right side. Bring everybody. We're all Africans. Bring us to the table and negotiate. Let our scholars in the Sahel do their job. They want to work, but the West because the West has a hard-on for people like me and other scholars like this. They don't want to see us involved to help bring peace. So they throw us in jail. They stop us from traveling. They do many things to keep us out of the mix. And they let this killings and stuff keep going on. And then you come back and say, well, we don't understand what the Fulani are doing. Where are the Fulani leadership? What do you mean? You stop us. You say that if we talk, you're going to put us in jail. You say we do this, you say you're going to put terror designation on us. So we're trapped. See? Okay, what we got here, my family was a slave trading dynasty. His family, whose family you talking about? Now, I don't know, brother, if you're talking about the president of Nigeria or are you talking about our brother, Captain Traore. I don't know who you talked about on this. Our companions of the Nega. Okay, the Nega must have food. We have to. Yeah. Okay. That could be. We have alliances with many other ethnic groups that's stretched for centuries, and that's a good thing. And we need this. But I'm a stickler right now, brothers and sisters. I want to see our Fulani scholars like this in the mix. See, this is what I want to see. I want to see that. I want to see these guys going in the table, bringing them. I don't want to see the Tubab sitting at the damn table between Africans because he's not there for that. He's there because he wants African leaders to kill for him so he can keep the resources. But to our credit, Captain Traore, he knows that he said that. He's throwing them out. Burkina Faso now is debt-free. Mali is debt-free. I heard Niger is going towards that when Niger was the poorest nation in the world under many Muslims who were governing, who gave all the rights to the Tubab and their governments. And they stole our wealth. And we have people eating out of trash cans and stuff in Niger. Now this has been corrected. In Mali is now solvent, meaning they don't have no loans out to anybody anymore. They paid off everybody. Captain Traore swears that he's paid off all the debt of the Burkina Faso people. Everything's paid off. Now they're debt-free. That's a beautiful step for our brother. But they got to come to the table. They got to come to the table, and they need to bring the scholars like this to the table because they know the laws of Allah. Let them do their job, Captain Traore. Please, my dear brother. Bring the scholars involved in this. Let brothers like this come to mediate. They know the Quran. They know Islamic law. They have the ear of the Mujahideen groups. The Mujahideen groups will not listen to a secular Muslim. They will spit on them. They will not listen to a Tubab who comes over there in his suit talking crazy. They don't listen to that either. When a scholar like this appears, he starts quoting the Quran. They listen to that because they pray and they read the Quran. So he has their ear. He can walk to them without any guns, any security forces. He walked right into their camp. They know who he is. They know he's a scholar, and they know he is a man of Allah. They know this. So they listen to him. When he sits there and he commands the audience, he sits at the table, they listen. They may disagree with some of the things he say, but they're not going to disagree with him when he starts talking about the Quran and talking about the Sunnah of the Nabi, alayhi salatu salam. See? So now we have that. I've been long today, brothers and sisters, but this is worth it because we're talking about the Fulani problem in the Sahel, and I'm giving you my take as this, as an elder, as a Sheikh Islam, as a scholar of Fulani history. I'm giving you all of this so you can discern. Those who come late, now please review the first of this to get the gist of my argument and so forth and so on. But I want to see our Fulani scholars, Hausa, Mende, Mendinka, whomever they are in Islam, come to the table to bring peace. Let them do their job. And we will be successful if we allow them to do their job. See, and I'm almost certain of this, with permission of Allah, this will be a success. But unfortunately, our leaders will not allow for scholars like this, Sheikh Bala, Sheikh Gumi, to do their jobs. See, they will not. And this is a very unfortunate situation. So I have a couple more, and then I have to go here because I got to prepare here for prayer is coming for our commence. Okay, we went through that. Okay, we have yes, I know that's the yes. I know that word for 40. Yes, thank you, my dear brother. Yes, and I want to see peace because as Muslim first, we always want peace. Even if there's strife, there's rules to fighting. I cannot say that our Fulani herdsmen who are part of the Messina and other militias are right or wrong. I'm not here to judge that because I don't know how I would feel if a militia group, or a militia man like this or this from another ethnic group come to my household when I went to the market and he shoot dead my wife and my children and the baby who's in a baby crib who still needs his mother's milk, and he kills everybody in the house. And then he goes and takes my cattle and he takes my money and everything else that I made from my products for my family. He takes that. I come home, I find this bastard here had killed my family, gone off with a whole bunch of other people on bicycles or in a van or a truck. I don't know what I would do. I would hope I would have patience. See, but I don't know what I would do. If I come in the house, find my wife beheaded, and find my daughters beheaded, found my child who's 2 years old shot and killed, find my young sons beheaded. See, I don't know how I would react. See, so I'm not here. We know we have rules, but I'm not here to judge them at this time because they're not here to defend themselves. I'm not here for that. I'm just giving you what has happened. We got revenge killings going on. You see what has happened? They said Burkina Faso forces killed Fulani in March. Now the Messina came into Burkina Faso and killed the soldiers. Now the soldiers went back, now starting to kill other Fulani. Now the Messina and others will come back and kill more soldiers. See, it's going back and forth, brothers and sisters. This has been going on now for a long time. See, so now we think about this, and you give me your thoughts, brother, sister. You can write me, give me your thoughts about this issue, about the Fulani problem. What is the best way to solve the Fulani problem in the Sahel? You guys think about that, and you give me your answers to that. Please spread this tape to others so they can see this and review it. It's long. Pick out spots here that is pertinent for you, and go over it and subscribe. I should have a lot of subscribers among, especially the Fulbe community. I hope my brothers in the Fulbe community start to subscribe, because we should start supporting our Fulani historians and so forth in our Sheikh Islams. We should be supporting them. We should be supporting them. So, okay, brothers and sisters, I will let you go now, and stay safe in the Sahel, please. And always pray to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, ask for his guidance, even in face of adversity. And again, I can't stress, I don't know how I would feel if this thing happened in March. I'm out in the fields. I'm Fututoro Fulani now. I'm out a herdsman. I have some cattle. I go out in the fields to work. And a Morsi from the ethnic group Morsi comes like this to my house. My wife can't defend herself. My young boys are too young. Maybe my father is too old. My mother is definitely a woman. She can't defend herself. Maybe my grandfather, grandmother is there at the house. And this man who belongs to the Morsi comes in and slaughters everybody. I have a 2-year-old who's sleeping in the crib. He murders even that child. I don't know what I would do, especially in the heat of the moment. And suddenly the Messina comes to get me and says, brother, in order for you to survive, you now need to make bay'ah, meaning pledge, to the Messina in order to protect your life. I don't know what I would do in circumstances like that. So you guys think about that. It's easy for you or me who have not had this happen. That slaughter that allegedly happened in March was so gruesome from what has been said. The militias, see, and ethnic Morsi militias slaughtered a plethora of Futufula families. They were innocent. So what would you do? Now the Messina came across the border, located 200 soldiers of Burkina Faso who they said was involved, or if they weren't involved, and executed them on behalf of the Futufula families and community that was slaughtered by the military, allegedly, and by Morsi militia groups, allegedly. The men who were left standing, if they said there was no survivors. That's why we can't get any live, we cannot get anybody who came out from that to give us a eyewitness account. We don't have that. That's why I have to say alleged. But the Messina said it did happen. That's why they came in and slaughtered the Burkina Faso soldiers. So I don't know, brothers and sisters. You know, I don't know what I would do. That's a gruesome scene. You come home and find all your children dead, or your mother, father dead, also your wife. Okay. She's been beheaded, and your young sons beheaded, and your grandfather, your father, mother beheaded. Huh? By this man, huh? Who belongs to the Moisi people who have been fighting the Fulani for a long time, okay? I don't know what I would do. I'm alone now. I lost everything. They stole my cash. They stole my cattle. They destroyed my farm, whatever I had. Okay? And suddenly, the Mujahideen groups like this appear and tell me, you need to come to join us. You need to come to join us, brother, in our fight against the security forces and against the Moisi. You see? So, you know, that's where we at. That's why I say the Fulani problem of the Sahel. The Fulani problem. The Fulani problem. Now you see how massive it is. And I hope I covered it in this segment, 2 hours long, but covered it thoroughly for you so you can go back, do your research, and also offer prayers for peace. Offer prayers to our Muslim ruler, Captain Traore, will do the right thing under the Sharia law. That he will allow our learned scholars to get involved, our imams and so forth to get involved to bring peace. Pray that our Mujahideen groups like the Messina operate fully under the Sharia law. Pray for that. Pray that our Fulani miscreant kidnapping groups, bandit groups and so forth and so on will abandon this thuggery and come back to the fold of communities. Pray for that. Pray for that, my brothers and sisters. Please, for that. Because our brothers in the Sahel are in a desperate need. We got some severe problems. And we got to find ways to solve that. A couple more questions and I have to go because I heard the thing here. I got to get ready to. Thank you very much, Androma, my dear brother. Thank you very much for that. And I appreciate that. And we have another brother, Fulani have issues everywhere. It's not specific to one. You have to ask yourself, why is that? Well, you came late. My brother, I would suggest, please, that you review some of my tapes talking about this issue. And we have a myriad of problems because we have a herding and we have grazing problems. That is the central issue. When the non-Fulani groups took issue and they began to kill the Fulani, you have to understand the history of the Fulani people. They always have been in jihad since 7/11. So when you begin to kill them, our Fulani brothers have this reciprocity to come to the aid of the Fulani who has been hurt, harmed, and killed. Also, you have to understand something too. Even though you see a Fulani herdsman in ragged clothes and Fulani hat, that man is sitting he has a bank account that has $200,000 US in it. You have many Fulani people who are very, very wealthy, but they don't show their wealth because they have cattle, and their money is in banks. They're not some now, but majority are not sitting in mansions and big old homes. They're living normally in small homes, but they have US thousand dollars in their bank accounts. We have a lot of Fulani people who are very, very wealthy. So we have jealousies of Fulani as well. So it's not the issue that the Fulani is a bad person. It's that we have issues that keeps cropping up and we have no answers for it. Even though the past we had answers for it when the Fulani sultanates were running things. We had answers for this. Because if a Fulani herdsman went after a Tiv farmer unjustly, he's going to pay the price for that under the Sharia law. If the Kapele farmer who just killed a Fulani herdsman and stole some of his cattle and killed the rest of his cattle and is brought to the Sharia court, there's remedies for that. See? And the Fulani doesn't want his way of life to be disrupted. He's been toiling the Savannah region since they left ancient Kemet, which is Egypt. And we have problems. We have encroaching climate changes and so forth. We have many issues like this. And you can't point and say that the Fulani are doing things and nothing's been done to them. You pull out what has happened, especially since about 2020 to 2025. Look at all the Fulani people who's been murdered now unjustly. Fulani have turned back around in revenge and killed those who they think is responsible for killing their families. I've been over this over and over again to give you this indication. We talk about Burkina Faso, the soldiers and militias. I showed you pictures of that. They went into a Fulani village, quote unquote, looking for the Messina. Messina are in Mali. Yes, they have people who have made bay'ah to the Messina, but we don't know where they're at. But they went into this village allegedly in March and slaughtered everybody. And claimed that they were collaborators. Now, days ago, the Messina came in for revenge mode for what the military had done and militias done to the Fulani families, and now killed them. 200 or more soldiers and militia. This has been going back and forth. So who's right and who's wrong? If you say the Fulani is wrong, then what about those who are killing them? And they're not brought to justice. That's the other reason why the Fulani are in jihad now. Because they know who's done the killing. They say, look, these guys are Mosi. They're from this village over here. This guy, I saw him. He killed my wife. He killed my father. He killed my neighbor. He killed these other Fulani herdsmen over here. They don't arrest them. That's all across the Sahel. They're great businessmen. These countries need to figure, yes, that's the wonder and the beauty of the Fulani community, the Fulbe community, is we have all walks of life. We have educators, some of the best. Some of the best doctors are Fulani. Some of the best and most richest men of Africa are Fulani. That's right. You have the wherewithal of Fulani who are masters of milk, byproducts from the cattle. You have wealthy Fulani herdsmen that you see him and you laugh at him because you see him in loose clothing, it's clothing like this, in an ima or with the Fulani hat. He's walking with his cattle and you laugh at him. He said, look at this man. That man's got 200,000 US dollars sitting in a bank account because Pulaco doesn't allow for us to be extravagant. I remember some years back, they killed this one herdsman, and I'm trying to remember now, he was in the eastern corridor, the eastern part of Niger. Some farmers got tired of seeing him. A couple of nights before, some of his cattle who strayed went into the farmer's area and ate some of his crops. The farmer was very upset. They had been seeing this particular Fulani and his family. They have 50, 60 cats grazing, going across. They made fun of him and said he was just a dirt herdsman. They killed him because of what his cattle did. They killed him. When the thing came out, it showed he had 100, and it's been a couple of years back, 50,000 or whatever it was, 50,000 US dollars in the bank account. It blew their minds because he said he didn't look it, but they killed him because his cattle came onto the farmland by accident. See? So, this is, some issues. Well, alaikum salam. Thank you for your greeting, my dear brother. And this here, and I truly have to command you, yes, to be shy. That's right. Timtinde. See, that's, yes, this is the term. This is in Fulfulde. Yes, you know that term. To be the bashfulness, shamelessness, and so forth and so on. We don't show our wealth. And others know this. This is what caused jealousy a lot of times with Fulani, because they say, you people are rich. You people have all this cattle. You people this, you people that. And it caused problems of jealousy. And it's a shame, and it shouldn't be that way. But on the same token, we have Fulani bandits and kidnappers and gangsters and mafia that's got to be brought to justice and brought to the table. That gives a bad name, because now people see them and they say, you're part of it. What the hell do I have to do with a 20-year-old young man who's got an AK-47? He just went to rob some people and kidnap. They turn around and say, you Yahya Shabaka, you Fulani also. Well, so you had something to do with this. Why you didn't stop him? This is the burden they place on the Fulani people like myself. How are we supposed to know what another human being is going to do? Can you predict? Can you know what's in my heart? You do not have this rape. We call this in the Arabic language. I don't have this. No human being can look into the heart of another human being and tell his actions, what he's going to do, or what he wants to eat, or what he's thinking. You cannot. You don't have that rape. Subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give you that. So people blame us. See, just like the Tubab does in the United States. A couple of Muslim youths, gangsters, go and rob. They go to the masjid and arrest everybody. And say, all you involved because you're Muslims, and two of your people just robbed a liquor store here in Pennsylvania. See, this is the rationale that's used even on the Fulani. We get blamed. Everybody gets blamed for it. So anyway, that's for another day. But my brothers and sisters, I got to go here now. And please review my tape. Please subscribe to my station if you like this talk. And also, please review my short videos. I talk about the Fulani history, about the sultanates. I give you a good, not all the sultanates, but I gave you some, especially about the Messina. Check it out. Please look at those short videos. If those who's interested, and the Fulani who want to know something about your history, check out those short videos that I have. They call shorts, I guess, in YouTube. Check those out. I give talking about the Fulani history and so forth, kind of give you a basis on what happened and in the previous time between 711 and the 1900s, when we were all over the place in West Africa, and we have sultanates and emirates all over the place. From that period, over 1,000 years, we were governing on and off here and there through this region, and so forth and so on. It's very, very interesting. And I give some things, and I will go back to the shorts here, inshallah, bi'ithnillah, talking about another sultanate I want to discuss, plus some other African ancestral brothers. I will be reviewing them as well. So my brothers and sisters, I will let you go here with my program today. And thanks for all those who showed up today, all my brothers and sisters who showed up, and those in the future. Please be careful, my dear brothers and sisters out there. I don't care if you're in America or you're in the Sahel. It's a dangerous time, even for me, even here in Morocco. It's a dangerous time for just about everybody. Muslim, Fulani, or whatever. It's a dangerous time now because there's killings abound everywhere, and sometimes innocent people are killed for no reason. So please be careful there, and I will leave you with that. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Anjarama.